Hey, greetings there, everybody. It is GleeCon here again with another episode of Lore of Warcraft. On our last one, we looked at a manga that showed an old adventure of Hemet Nessingwary's in the Warcraft Legends series. And we've also been going side by side with this Dungeons and Dragons World of Warcraft campaign setting. We're on the second book. It's called More Magic and Mayhem. And it's kind of just a revamp of the Magic and Mayhem original source book, which tells you a couple new magic classes and tech classes. So we're going to continue with the second chapter out of 5. If you want to stay a while and listen for chapter 2, it's called Enchantments, Runes, and Brews. This might just be one we skim through very quickly. So it starts with alchemy. We know that's a profession that came out in World of Warcraft Classic. And then they just describe some types of concoctions, the equipment, a vial bandolier. I don't know if sorry, I don't recall that ever being a thing. Different types of alchemical concoctions, herbalism and alchemy, and how they come up. It says, because of the large amount of herbal ingredients used in the preparation of alchemical products, many journeyman alchemists are also skilled herbalists. Yeah, pretty much you have to be. Or you need an alt that gathers. In order to avoid dealing with exhaustive lists of ingredients for each alchemical product in a system of herbalism that accurately reflects the kinds of herbs found in various places, use the following system. Okay, so they're basically saying, we're simplifying it. Don't worry about the herbs that you have to find like in the game. Just take your skill, your feats for your profession, and convert it into gold. What do mana drafts do? In this case, they allow you to recover spell slots. But look, a lot of them, Lion's Strength, Troll's Blood Filter, those are from the game. So that's interesting that, or noteworthy that they're finding a way to put them in Dungeons and Dragons, and continuing on with Expert, Artisan, Frost Oil, Cat's Eye Filter. I'm pretty sure, I think that's a thing. So this is cool. So basically how to take the potions that you can make in the alchemy profession and put them in the Dungeons and Dragons setting. So that is neat that they've actually done that a lot more one-to-one. I don't know if there's Mighty Troll's Blood, but why not? And then there's Master Alchemical Potions. Transmute iron to gold. I think so. I think that's something that they can do. Filter of the Mongoose, why not? Mithril to true silver. I'm pretty sure you could do that kind of stuff. All right, so we're basically just doing, looks like we're focusing on professions because here we go on with enchantments. What they can do. So there's melee weapon enchantments. This is part of the game, so how would you put that in Dungeons and Dragons? It says it requires EP. I'm guessing that's like enchantment points. How do you get them? So let's see. The number of enchantment points required. So you can pay gold. Where do you get them? I know that they talked about disenchanting in the last chapter. And this is just basically saying how you can put it on your weapon. Okay, and then they get right to describing them, because if you really had to disenchant, magic items are so much more rare in Dungeons and Dragons than they are in World of Warcraft. Disenchanting would be a pain if you really had to wait to disenchant certain things. So there's got to be other ways to get them. Yeah, so I'm just looking at these. They had weapon enchantments, armor enchantments. I'm not as familiar with, I can't remember all the old enchantments you could get. So I don't remember like Flaming Blast. I kind of feel like there's something like that. But sure, mana enchantment, health, yes, those are basic things you can do. Shield enchants. I don't know if there are shield enchants, but maybe there are. Glove enchantments, bracer enchantments. boot enchantments, cloak enchantments. And there are, the different enchantments do go onto different pieces of gear, and they are specific like that. Helm enchantments, superior intellect, spirit, will. Cool, yeah. All right, now here's where we get to be a little bit different because we have runic art. I don't know if this is going to be closest to inscription, because that's really where runes are at now. You can empower a rune, the different types of runes. There are marked glyphs and sigils. That goes with inscription. How to craft runes, detecting runes, destroying runes, runic sites, and then here we get into rune patterns. So this is cool that they're actually making this. They're really fleshing out this thing. I guess this would be like the different ranks of the rune. So there's the awareness pattern. It begins with lesser vision, where you gain low light vision. Ultimately, you gain sixth sense warnings. Beast patterns begin +5 bonus on your next agility skill check, and it culminates with a breath weapon. A dragon breath weapon. Flame begins with being able to heat a metal object and ends with all fire effects in the area are greatly augmented. Maybe they just get all the meta magics buffs. Frost pattern cools a metal object, and then it does the same to augmenting cold effects. Healing pattern heals 1 damage to eventually healing 10d6 points of damage in an area. Motion pattern gives you an extra 2 squares of movement in the beginning, and then culminates with teleportation. Look, this is a turtle pattern. That's cool. Resto. Oh, it does tell you where these are at. What forms the basis. So the awareness pattern is from Mount Farview in the Stone Talon Mountains. Beast pattern is Ashen Vale. Flame pattern is the Searing Peak in Red Ridge. Frost pattern is Northrend. Healing pattern is found in Mulgore Hot Springs. Motion pattern are the canyons of the Badlands. This is the ley lines, what we're talking about, where these patterns are at. The resto pattern is the Valley of Dulverin, found in Moonglade. Okay. Ends dazes and dazzles, and you gain fast healing, essentially regeneration. Shielding pattern in Grim Batol. Subject gains +1 bonus on saving throws. Ultimately, you can absorb spells. Stone pattern is in the Stone Talons, also in the Great Maze. Lesser hardening, objects hardness and hit points by 1, and ultimately the Megalith, transformed into stone, increasing your combat abilities. The Storm pattern, Stormwind Keep. Fair weather gives you a bonus to saves against weather hazards, and ultimately the area attracts devastating weather. Striking pattern, this is Blackrock Spire. Natural weapons do extra non-lethal damage, so an extra 1d4. And ultimately, natural weapons gain extra reach, base damage, and act as ranged attacks. That's cool. And then we have a list of the runes. So it's weird that we're lumping together the runes with the professions. So these are just some of the glyphs, which is cool. I do think this is neat. I don't know how much of this Glyph of Mending, I don't know how much of this makes its way into inscription. I'm not sure. And then we go to marks after the glyphs. I'm not seeing anything that's just jumping out at me. Mark of the cat. As like, yes, that's in the game for sure. But I wonder what, why they went so heavy. They went so heavy on this glyph stuff. And then drop it. But tons of marks. 1 round per level. So I guess you mark yourself up with these glyphs and it lasts a certain amount of time. It's kind of neat, I guess. Yeah, just tons and tons. Then it goes on to sigils. Sigils provided in a radius. Mark, you can put it on someone. Gotcha. Sigil of the Levin Curse. It's an electricity. 1 mile radius emanation. Weird. Lightning strikes within the area of effect. There's a 10% chance that the bolt, instead of striking, it strikes anyone that has high concentration of metal. So it just makes like a lightning fields. Not very accurate, but pretty OP in terms of size. All right, so that is the second chapter. So we have this kind of abandoned by the wayside, this flotsam of a sigil and rune system that in the barest of its bones, sigils, glyphs, and marks, they do make their way into the inscription profession. And then we have, what does the alchemy and enchanting professions look like in Dungeons and Dragons? So pretty neat. All right, cool. I thank everyone so much, as always, for watching and listening to this show that I hope you think is great. I do. Lore of Warcraft. This one in the pipe, 5x5.